Not yet anyways. Welcome back, folks. It is another day in my small print farm here. I talked in the last video about doing some carbon fiber PETG prints. And that's what we've got going on right now on the Adventure 5M Pro from FlashForge. The pencil sharpener holders I've got running on A1 Mini 2 and A1 Mini 3. Those are just going to continue to run throughout the week. When these are done, though, I am going to swap them out for 2 more colors. I have to get some blue printed out, and I am changing up the blue color. So this is the blue that we currently have listed on Etsy, and that is a Overture color. And since I started printing these out, I've switched over to Elegoo pretty much exclusively. So I'm going to print them out using the matte blue Elegoo PLA. It's over here somewhere. You'll see it in a minute, and I'm sure you've seen it in some of the videos before. If you're not familiar with the channel, my name is Logan. I run the Mountain Maker and Mountain Maker 3D Etsy shop. I've been doing it for about a year now, and we took 2024 to kind of get it off the ground and see how the platform worked. I learned a lot. If you haven't seen my video on how much I actually made in 2024, I'll have that link down in the description below. But yeah, we learned a lot on Etsy in 2024, and I'm hoping to put some of that knowledge into effect in 2025 and hopefully come out with some of my own products as well. A couple of the things that I sell in my print farm here are paid for subscriptions from either Patreon or Thangs. Most of the stuff, though, is free for commercial use files that designers have uploaded to sites like MakerWorld, Printables, Thingiverse, and they put a Creative Commons attribution license on there, which gives you the right to use it for commercial purposes. Now, it is smart to do a little bit of research first. Maybe check out some of the other sites and things. If you are finding a model that looks like maybe it shouldn't be free for commercial use, do your own research so you're not taking somebody else's files without giving them proper credit or commission. And another thing to pay attention to is things like copywritten or trademarked material, like Mario, Spider-Man, Simpsons, stuff like that. Even if the designer lets you use that file, the file that they physically designed, doesn't mean you can actually sell it. And I did a whole video on this a couple months ago. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll have it linked down in the description below. That being said, I don't know how sustainable it will be going forward as more and more people get 3D printers and they have access to these subscription packages and they have access to free files just like you and me. So one of the things I really wanted to do in 2025 is work on my own designs, come up with solutions to problems that I have. And I'm sure other people have those problems, and see if I can list those and actually use my own brain here and come up with stuff instead of just using things that are easy. I'll put it that way. All right, that's enough rambling on from me. I'm going to get the Midnight Blue PETG carbon fiber loaded up into the S1 Pro so we can get some test prints done with that. Not so much for testing the S1 Pro and PETG because we've already done that, but I want to see how this Midnight Blue looks. So unloading and loading filament in this thing is sort of interesting. Let's move the head down. So to unload the filament, you have to pull back on this little PTFE tube, and that kind of lifts up on there. Then you come in here, you snip it, and then you can roll it back up into itself. Now all of your filament's out of the tube. You can connect it back up. Now, filament, unload. It's giving us the instructions that we have just gone through. It's going to heat up to 240, and then it will purge the remaining filament in there out. While it's doing that, figure out how we get this loaded in there. You really, in order to load the filament, you need to have 2 hands because you have to feed it into this PTFE tube and actually run it down into there before you're able to put it into here. I'll see if I'm able to even capture that on video for you. All right, so hopefully you're able to see this. Essentially, you have to feed it in through here. And this is the loading and unloading process on the S1 Pro. And we can tap load. It's going to start pulling that that spool of filament through. Sometimes you have luck with it working on the first try like that, but I'm going to hit it one more time just to flush out any of the remaining PETG that's in there. And then we can come down here when it's finished loading, and I like to go to temperature and then hit cool. That'll shut off the nozzle. And then we can turn on the cooling fan to help cool down the nozzle a little bit more and help prevent seepage of the filament. At this point, all I am trying to do is get it so we're not, leaking PETG down onto there. That's good enough. We're down to 212. I'm going to get some files sliced for the PETG carbon fiber on the S1 Pro. I'm also going to turn on our filament dryer that is built into the S1 Pro. All right, so my laptop over here is pretty low down on the desk compared to the other two monitors that I have up over here. So I'm going to print out a stand to put underneath those on the S1 Pro. Should take about 4 hours and 16 minutes, about 200 grams of filament, and we're using the Midnight Blue PETG carbon fibers. So what it's doing right now is heating up the bed to 75 Celsius and heating up the nozzle to 140. Then it's going to do a full bed mesh calibration so it can do the automatic Z offset for PETG. Then it will start our print. And as we were doing in last video, still stocking up on more of these coasters. See if we can get this guy off of here. There we go. Let's run a reprint of these. You can see from last video, we packed up 4 sets of 4 coasters. So 16 in total somebody ordered, and we're already pretty much depleted. If, you know, somebody comes in and orders 2 sets of 4, that's going to clear us out. So I've got the A1 Mini behind me here and the P1P over here, just running through doing those. Probably going to let them do it for a day or two, and then we'll put something else on there. This has been going for about 2 hours and 37 minutes. Look at how clean those threads are. This is printed with a 0.2 millimeter layer height. The only sort of defects that I'm even seeing are a little bit of a blob that got left over there on the threads, but I think that's just going to pop right off. And just for perspective, these are the threads that I print on the P1P at a, I don't know, 0.16 millimeter layer height for the dumbbells. And that's a 0.20 layer height. This PETG carbon fiber is pretty impressive, along with the Flash Forge. This is my first enclosed Core XY machine, and I've never really tested any of the higher strength filaments or the reinforced filaments, and this thing just knocks it out of the park every single time. First time I threw nylon carbon fiber into here, that was the result. I used their stock profiles, some Fiberon PA6 carbon fiber from Polymaker, and this is what we got. For PETG prints and high temp filaments and stuff like that, this is definitely my new favorite machine. If you're interested in picking up one of the Flash Forge machines for yourself, I'll have links down in the description below so you can do that. They've got their regular Adventurer 5M on sale right now for $299, which is essentially a P1P with a Creality size build plate. So it's a slightly smaller 8.66 inch build plate on the Adventurer series here, but $299. You don't have the access to multicolor printing at that price, but if you wait a couple weeks, you can get the 85X with 4 colors for $469. That is $499 by itself. The AMS on top is another $349, I think. So when they send over that 85X, I'm going to put that thing through its paces, testing it against the P1P to see which one is a better buy. And the FLSun is doing its calibrations right now for the bed. This will take about another minute or so, and then it should start printing. So hopefully having some glue on the bed does not interfere with how this print sticks. Suppose we'll find out. If it does, I'll clean it and reprint it. A little skirt there. So this would have definitely been in my best interest to stop it. I'm gonna let you hear what it sounds like. If you can't tell, it's not printing anything anymore. It thinks it is, but it's not. It is clogged. So I should have guessed that was going to happen. I'm printing carbon fiber filament with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. Never played around with it before. I was just sitting over at the desk editing part of this video, and I started hearing that clicking noise. So I'm going to dig into this thing a little bit, see if I can get this filament unloaded. Maybe if we can run some regular PETG through there to clear it out. And then stupidly, I'm going to reprint the file because I've had Fiberon from Polymaker, the PA6 carbon fiber. That's worked just fine with the 0.4 millimeter nozzles. So I'm not really sure what caused this, but I'd like to see a 0.6 millimeter nozzle released for the S1 Pro. I think part of the reason why they didn't include a 0.6 millimeter nozzle with this is because that would effectively slow down the speed of the machine, and their whole marketing hype with this is it's fast, which it is. But if you included a 0.6 millimeter nozzle on a machine that can print 16 inches tall, that would have probably been the best option. Or at least maybe that second nozzle that you included with it should have been a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. Yes, the speeds are going to be slightly slower, but all in all, it should even itself out with the larger line width. So just my 2 cents on it. And there is no way of actually like pushing in the manual lever on an extruder and pulling it up like there is on most 3D printers. At least not that I can see. It's probably sitting underneath all of this fancy housing. I don't think that worked. All right, I'm going to play around with that a little bit, see if I can't get that nozzle off and either get it unclogged or swap it out for the other 0.4 millimeter nozzle that they sent along with the printer. All right, before I get into that, because to be quite frank, I don't really feel like digging into that right now. That seems like a process in and of itself to get the sock off of there. And I'm not really in the mood to tinker with a printer right now, as weird as that sounds. Since the last video, I said how much I like to tinker with printers. So that thing is going to have to wait unless I can get it to unload through the Clipper web interface. So I'm going to jump into the computer real quick and see if maybe we can get it to work that way. All right, so I was able to kind of pull it. So I'm going to rerun that same line there. All right, so that didn't work. To no availability, I tried to heat up the nozzle to like 280 Celsius. In fact, it's still at 280 right now. I tried to do manual extruding or retracting, I guess, through Clipper, and I was able to get some of the filament out of there, but not quite enough. So I'm going to see if this little trusty thing that it comes with is any good. So the wire for our nozzle comes up through here. One of them is plugged into this port there, and then the other wire is tucked back in behind there where you can't see it. Seems pretty simple though to take off and fix. Like I mentioned before, you just have to take these 3 little screws out that are inside of the nozzle. Should drop down, take the plugs out, and should be good to go. It just doesn't seem like there's any way to actually manually take the filament out of there. That's semi-annoying. Like, do I have room to just pull the nozzle? Well, I guess that's what I get for putting carbon fiber filament through a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. So take it from me, don't run carbon fiber filaments inside of the FLSun until you've upgraded to a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. With that said, FLSun, we're waiting for that 0.6 millimeter nozzle to come out. So I'm going to save this for probably next video. We'll get this thing undone and get the nozzle swapped out. And we won't be running any carbon fiber filaments through it until I get a couple more nozzles on hand. I don't care if they're 0.4 millimeters. I'll run it again on that. I'm not too scared about it, but I still want to have another nozzle just in case this happens again. But the Flash Forge just completed up with these carbon fiber PETG prints. Man, that's clean. All right, I'm going to pull the rest of these off of here and see how this thing goes together. I don't know how strong that's going to end up being, but it is certainly a very clean looking print. No supports on that one. And as I suspected, that little piece there on the thread came right off, no problem. Both of the threads on both of our pieces here came out looking awesome. And it looks like our supports had a little issue staying connected to the build plate, but it did not really, aside from being a little bit messy on top, didn't seem to affect the actual outcome of the print. This was likely due to my own settings issue because I did change these. They were recommended at like 0.18, and I think I bumped it up to a 0.2, so it wasn't really as close to this as it should have been. I guess the real test is, does this actually slide into here? Oh, like a glove. There's no, like that is awesome. All right, to this little screw, does this actually thread in there? Yep, and it holds this in place too. It is a little bit tight, but let's see. We undo it, slides up, close it in place, and that is locked in there. Sweet. All right, let's go see what it looks like when we get it loaded up onto the tripod. So again, a little bit of a tight fit. I suppose it's good that it's tight. We want want it to be tight, right? So it does hold it there. So the key takeaway that I'm getting right now is it does work, but you have to have a way to really crank it down on there in terms of like pushing down on the top of the iPad. The only thing I'm noticing is it's kind of shaky. I'll record a video. So this is when you just like touch it. You can see as it slows down, it's okay. But as soon as I would maybe like go to move the tripod around, it's not terrible. And again, this isn't really meant to be a filming stand for this. This is actually more so if I have some like key information or points that I want to get across to you and I keep forgetting them, I can throw them up here and they're kind of like, you know, there in front of my face, almost like a teleprompter, but not a teleprompter. Not yet anyways. So I'm going to call this a success. Fits inside the tripod nice. I should have positioned it the other way so I was able to tilt this up and down to aim it down at myself at the desk. But see, that works really well. And if I want to pull up an app, I have this teleprompter app here and I can just say new, compose new script, and I can have like key points here that I want to remind you of. So for instance, I can have key points here that I want to remind you of, things that I might say during the video, but you know, sometimes I forget things. So it's nice to have them on the screen if I ever need to, you know, use them. So I can hit done. And then if I wanted to reread these off, I can hit start and it just slowly will scroll through on the screen. So for instance, I can have key points here that I want to remind you of things that I might say during the video, but you know, sometimes I forget things. So it's just nice to have them on the screen and, you know, stuff like that. No, this wasn't on the teleprompter. I promise. It's still reading off that thing. Anyway, I call that a success. Very happy with how that came out. Not super thrilled with how the FLSun handled that PETG carbon fiber, but my main mission for today was getting that iPad stand thing printed out on the FlashForge Adventure 5M Pro over here out of some carbon fiber PETG. A very successful day indeed, but I do want to get that laptop stand printed out, so I'm going to slice it for the FlashForge. And we can even see here that that last print took about 3 hours and 58 minutes, cost us a total of $3.93 to get our little iPad mount printed out. Not bad. Just to save us some time, I've already got another plate open here. Let's open up MacBook stand, and we're just going to import the geometry. All right. Use about 200 grams of filament. Let's just send it over, see what happens. So far, that's been my luck with that FlashForge machine. Is just send it over and see what happens. It's never had anything bad happen yet. So I am going to have to print that center divider connector piece that we just saw on the computer in 2 separate prints, but I want to make sure this actually comes out good. And then we can print that part out, test fit it. And if it doesn't fit, it's only like a half hour to an hour print to, you know, redo it. All right, about 40% of the way printing these guys out. 2 hours and 2 minutes in. I think this was about a 4.5, 5 hour print. We'll check back in on this in a little bit. And this just finished up as well. Might as well get these off the build plate and get another set printed out. 54 minutes left on these purple ones. I'll probably run another batch of these just because it's already loaded up into there and we might as well. They're going to sell at some point, right? %67 done. If you have a machine with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle and it's hardened steel, I highly recommend picking up some PETG carbon fiber. Aaron over at 802 Garage recommended it to me, and glad he did. Right. Like I said before, I'm going to run one more batch of these. Same with the yellows, just to get 6 to 8 of them in stock. And we can switch over to maybe blue and red. Starting to build up a little collection. The only reason I like to keep these in stock is because when they do sell, if I just print a single one, it takes like 3 hours, I think. And I hate to just do a single. So I always do at least 2, and then that's, 6 hours or something. It's just easier for me to, have some here when they get ordered, ship them out, and have them reprint later on. Those ones are pretty easy to print when I get an order. They just take a little bit because they go up pretty far, but they can be done on pretty much any of these machines. So it's not like it's a limitation as far as multicolor stuff. They are assembled afterwards. All right, so I took a little bit of a break, went to sleep, let these things finish all up, and you can see for sure carbon fiber filament is my new favorite. Let's see how this fits under the laptop. So I didn't print the little connector piece that goes in between these two just yet. I want to see if this actually fits. This is a monster. That's pretty perfect. That's a little better to look at. And to be honest, I don't think I'm actually going to print those connector pieces unless this becomes a problem. I think the weight of the computer itself should be enough. Famous last words. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. The monitor is far better aligned with all the other ones. Hey, look at this, designs by Broadhead. So he uploaded this video a couple days ago by the time you're seeing this, but he 3D printed a freaking DeLorean. So if you're interested in stuff like that, be sure to go check out Designs by Broadhead. I'll link it down below. As far as this goes, for now, I am very happy with this setup. In one of the next videos, I'm going to be designing a bracket that's going to hang up a sign outdoors for a local business. If you're interested in that design and prototype type thing, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on it. Until next time, folks, take care.